Okay, y'all. I'm over. I couldn't get logged in because all of a sudden my phone started tripping. Look, you see that? My phone just blinkety blink blink blinking. So I can't see my phone. Okay, so I think I'm live. So it's been a minute, but we don't forget how we get down over here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? I just need to know. And we go, hey, my nigga, I miss you. You owe me a text back. I need information. But can you hear me? Can you see me? I need to know that. And we're going to get rocking and rolling. Somebody say something. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm thinking you can hear me and see me, but no one's typing to tell me you can hear me and see me. So I need to know. Linda says she doesn't have sound. Anybody else don't have sound? Don't have sound? I hope this is not going to be this issue. Anybody else don't have sound? Anybody else don't have sound? Somebody say something to me. See and hear you. Okay, so Coach Tawana. So Linda, on your end, I think it's on your end because Tawana says that she can see and hear me. So it is Wednesday and it's been a hot minute since we have been together. And whether you're with me live or with me on the replay, I appreciate this. Thank you for coming back because I have been a bit MIA for a hot minute, probably longer than Reneka would like me to be if she's still here. So thank you, Kim. Kim says, love the glasses. Thank you. So listen, for those of you who may be catching the replay or if you want to share this, I'm TJ Mercer. I am known as the Chief Noisemaker of Media Mavericks Academy. And that simply means I teach authors, experts, coaches, and entrepreneurs how to book themselves in the media without a publicist and without being a celebrity. And apparently, I wear a whole bunch of hats, actually, now that I think about it, because part of the reason why I've been MIA is I was in Africa for an entire month. And my background is in television. I worked in Hollywood, which is why we're going to do this broadcast. I'm going to tell you some stories. But my voice is a bit raspy, so hold on. But I was in Africa teaching film editing to the most amazing group of hungry, eager, generous, kind, compassionate, sweet group of filmmakers, aspiring filmmakers. And we were sent there specifically with the mandate to change the narrative. And that is what we did. I'm going to do a separate Facebook Live maybe on Sunday to talk about some of those things. But tonight, right now, with Shaft having come out about a week and a half ago, and to be honest with you, if you've been with me for a minute, it was a hard transition for me coming back into the States. My body just shut down. I got sick. I couldn't get my creativity going. I was in a funk. I was exhausted. I was emotionally drained. And so that's why I've kind of been, a little MIA, but I'm back. I am back. And so with Shaft coming out a week and a half ago, I figured that some of you might want to hear some of the tales from the set, as I've called it. And with probably the most hilarious is the day that I met Sam Jackson. But before I get to Sam, I wrote a couple of little anecdotes down that you may appreciate. First of all, let me just say, Mr. Roundtree, the OG Shaft, like original Shaft, he is the most lovely of men. Like he when he walked on the set that first day, it's like the atmosphere just shifted. You knew swag had just hit the set. And Femi, hi, honey, that's one of my babies. Hi, Femi, that's one of my babies in Legos. But when Shaft, when Mr. Roundtree hit the set, it was just like, you knew you were in the presence of royalty. You knew that, you know, you wanted some get right. You didn't want to act a fool or, you know, in his presence. And one of the things that I remember most about Mr. Roundtree is whatever shoes that wardrobe put him in, his feet hurt. Because whenever I would go to say hi or good morning or check on him, he'd sit down in his chair and he would be, I was like, how you doing? My feet hurt. These shoes hurt. and so that became a running thing of him just telling me how his feet hurt. And what was so cool, so I should probably say what I did on the film. So I was the behind the scenes producer, which means all the promos and behind the scenes footage that you may have seen in promo of the film, that was me. I spent about 2 months in Atlanta and shooting every single day, long days, 18 hours a day. And what the behind the scenes producer means that I'm pretty much embedded into the film. I'm not working on the film. I'm working on the publicity and all the featurettes that come out with the film. Plus, it will also be used when the DVD of the film comes out. So there's footage of all of that to make those bonus features and things like that. So I am responsible for my own crew, as well as interviewing the stars, getting them to do fun things that may be great for promotion or great for the DVD. So for example, one of the ideas I come up with is to get cast crew to sing different lines of the Shaft theme song. Who is the man that will risk his neck for his brother, man? Shaft. So that was one of the things that I did. So I'm constantly going around between shooting, between them rolling camera, trying to get them to sing these different lines. And everybody was really good. Some of it was really hilarious. Like Regina Hall, if you've seen the film, I don't want to give it away, but Regina Hall, who plays Shaft's girlfriend, ends up on a date, and he and her partner in that scene, oh my God, they were freaking hilarious singing Shaft. And then let me see what else that I kind of was responsible for. So Jesse T. Usher, who is New Generation Shaft, he is amazing. Jesse would do every single thing that I asked him to do, like everything. He was down for whatever I had him do. Whether it would be like I had him do a MTV crib style tour of the different sets that we were on. I would have him go mess with Alex, who played his girlfriend, and they would banter. And Jesse was amazing. Regina Hall is freaking unbelievably hilarious. Like, she is always up to something. Like, I saw a promo that Will Packer did with her for Little. And it was like, she was amazing in that. And it's like, it's so Regina. Let me think, who else? I'm forgetting now. Alex, who played Shaft Jr.'s girlfriend, incredibly talented. We talked about Mr. Roundtree. Okay, so one of the funniest things about Mr. Roundtree, though, was I was doing an interview with one of the bad guys. I'm not gonna give it away. I was doing an interview with one of the bad guys. And then I had him sing the lines of the song. And just as he was getting to the line of who is the man that loses that Shaft, can you dig it? Mr. Roundtree was coming into shot, and it was around the line of shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Who's the man? Mr. Shaft. He's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Remember that? So soon as this actor was getting ready to do that line, Mr. Roundtree comes around the corner and just stops behind the actor. The actor doesn't know that Mr. Roundtree is standing behind him. And so when the actor is getting ready to go, shut your mouth, Mr. Roundtree says, shut your mouth. And the actor turns around, and you can say, this actor, he's a white dude. He turned beet red. It was the best. I could not have planned that. It was the absolute best. Another cool thing is the production designer for the film. The whole film was shot in Atlanta, and so they had to convert it to Harlem because Shaft takes place in Harlem. But the production designer is a man named Wynn Thomas. He is Spike Lee's production designer and worked on Do the Right Thing. He was on this, and let me just tell you, all the history that was in this man, it was fascinating to talk to him. In fact, he came to set, and I'm going to post some of my pictures on my Facebook page, but he came to set in his original Do the Right Thing jacket. No, not Do the Right Thing. School Days. It was School Days. Because he worked on that. He was a production designer on School Days. And he came to the set in his original School Days jacket. And what was so cool about Mr. Wynn is that Mr. Wynn only agreed to give me a full access tour of him talking if I agreed to include his younger Black mentees that he was raising. He was so committed to making sure that they got exposure, and that whatever the audience is that watched whatever I was shooting turned out to be, that they could be inspired by seeing all of these Black 19, 20 something year olds working in production design. And so, of course, I was like, that's easy. I would love to do that. But I thought that was cool that the only way he agreed to actually talk to me was if I would agree that I would interview all of his other people. Let me see. So I interviewed. What was another highlight of my time there was I actually spent time with Isaac Hayes' son. So Isaac Hayes, the third, the original Isaac Hayes, most people think he's the senior. The Isaac Hayes that we know who wrote the theme for Shaft. Hey Pam, who wrote the theme for Shaft. He's actually junior. Isaac, his son, who handles his estate and the music and everything, is a third. And so one of the highlights was interviewing him and just hearing how the iconic theme of Shaft came to be, and like hearing that history, and then just kind of hanging out with Isaac on set and talking to him and just getting in his mind. Like if you don't follow Isaac, follow him on Instagram. The boy is raw on Instagram, and he makes a lot of sense. He's actually quite awesome. Let me see. Tim Story, who was the director. He also directed the Ride Along franchise. And I forget what other cool film he's getting ready to go do, but Tim, it was the most peaceful set. Like you would imagine that there's action and there's comedy and it's just it's just all kind of madness happening. But Tim ran a very zen set. Like there was no yelling except for playful yelling. Tim was one of those types that he always had to go off on me and cuss at me before he did what I asked him to do. He would always do it, but it's like, Tim, okay, so when we wrap for the day, I need you to give me a wrap up, a soundbite of what we did today. And he would just go off and fuss. And I just sit there and wait it out. I'm like, are you finished? And he's like, yeah, okay, let's go. And then he would just spitball and do it. And we would go through this every single day. He would do this to me. Like, and finally I just like, Tim, can we just skip to the fussing, and you're going to do what I ask. You're going to cuss at me and go tell me hell no first, but you're going to do it. So can we just get to that part? So Tim Story, any film by Tim Story, it's an honor and a privilege to work on. Hi, Charlotte, Deborah, and Gordon. It was such a privilege to work under him, to learn from him. And then Tim's right hand, who was a man named AJ. Oh my God, AJ is super talented, but AJ loved to pick on me. Absolutely loved to pick on me. And AJ would always, so I had a crew of, every day pretty much I had a crew of 3 of us. And then on special days, on special interview days, I had a crew of like 7. AJ would always seem to catch me while I was playfully going off on my cameraman or fussing about something. And he would be like, Daryl, you should call human resources and you should actually complain. And like this went on, it was like, AJ, do you have a tracker on me? You're nowhere around when I start this. And then all of a sudden I look up and you're in my shot. And AJ would always like to scare the crap out of me by yelling my name across the set. And so being the behind the scenes team, you try to stay invisible because you don't just want to disrupt the filmmaking process. But AJ wouldn't let me be invisible. He would be like, TJ, are you over there fussing at Daryl again? Daryl, you should call human resources. And of course, when he's yelling my name like that, the whole rest of the crew is turning around going, what the hell is going on? What is TJ over there doing? And so I remember one day, this could have turned out really dangerous, but Daryl, my camera guy, is like 6'8", massive dude. Sweet as can be, like a gentle giant, sweet as can be. What we would roll to set every day is I would drive because he's carrying around like a 30-pound camera every day. So there's no way I'm going to make him drive. And so I would drive us to set every day. And he would get out, get his equipment from the back. We had a hatchback, get his equipment out the back. And this particular day, I thought he had cleared the back. So fortunately, I didn't like hit the gas to take off. I kind of start rolling backwards to pull out, not realizing my camera guy had bent down to pick up something. And so all I hear is, banging on the back. So I slam on the brakes. And as soon as I slam on the brakes, I look to the left and who catches this moment? AJ, I'm like, where did you come from? He's like, you tried to kill Daryl. You tried to kill Daryl. I am reporting you. And so 2 years later almost 2 years of not working with AJ, anytime I post something on Instagram that's slightly in remote to me doing something good or anything, I can count on AJ coming into my comments to go, but yeah, what would Daryl say? Thank God Daryl is living to tell about it. Or has Daryl filed a complaint against you? So when you're working with people, 14, 15, 16 hours a day, it's key to be on a peaceful set, to be find fun in things, and be able to tease and laugh with each other. So those are some of my good moments of things that I remember from the set. Now, I'm gonna tell you about working with Sam Jackson. So, and if you have an aversion to profanity, you probably should log off now. Because if you know Sam Jackson, nobody can actually say motherfucker like Sam Jackson. Like he has taken that thing and made it an art form. So log off now, because get to set first day. Let me see if I can show you this picture of Sam, of how I know this was going to go. Let me see. Hold on. Trying to open up. So while it's opening, so first day of shooting, we were told Sam does not like the cameras. Sam does not like the cameras. This is first day, so he don't like the behind the scenes cameras. Fine, no problem, because a lot of actors are like that. They like to be focused on their skill. And let me preface this with, there is nothing more incredible than watching Sam Jackson in action. He is unbelievable to just watch in action. And so, you know, we were told, you know, I'm trying to make sure that the picture is going to open. So we were told that the unit publicist, who was the liaison between my crew and the actors and the film crew, that we were told that don't worry about it. Just let Sam get used to being on the set and being around him, but just kind of stay out of his way. Don't go up and introduce yourself. Just hang back and I'll introduce you. So about 2 weeks in, unit publicist comes to me. Her name is Stacy. She comes to me and she goes, okay, we were shooting the club scene. If you've seen the film, you remember the club scene. So this was the day this happened. We were shooting the club scene and unit publicist comes to me and she goes, listen, I'm going to get Sam to answer one question for you, just one. And I was like, okay, cool. She's like, so know what your question is. Like, I know what the question is going to be. Because Sam hasn't been shafted in almost 20 years. So I know what the question is going to be. She's like, okay, cool. I'll let you know. We're going to do this when he raps. Not a problem. So all day I got butterflies in my stomach. I'm like, I'm finally going to say something to Sam Jackson. So the day ends up going by and this, I want to show you. If you can see it. So this is a picture of that day, end of the day. This is Sam. He's wrapping up. Look at his face. I knew that this wasn't going to go well. I knew it just because he was tired. He had been shooting all day and it was cold and he had put his hoodie on. And I just knew like, this not going to go well, but okay, it's my job to get something out of him because we haven't seen him as Shaft in 20 years. So unit publicist comes over, brings Sam. She goes, Sam, she's going to ask you one question. And so I was like, Mr. Jackson, tell me, you haven't had on the Shaft trench coat in 20 years. What is this feeling like? What are you feeling like, you know, to be back as Shaft? Sam looks at her. He looks at me. He looks back at her. He looks at me. He looks back at her and goes, who the fuck is she? I motherfucking cheerleader? I was like, yeah. And then he just walks off and just leaves. Doesn't answer the question or anything. So everybody around me is stunned. My camera guy is following Sam out of the building, trying to try to get Sam to say something. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there. And so my camera guy comes over because, you know, he's a big dude. I'm 5'6", he's 6'8". He's like, you all right? And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Sam Jackson doesn't even know anything about me. And yet he even picked up that I am a cheerleader. Yes, I'm all right. I'm going to be fine. Because Sam Jackson called me not just a cheerleader, he called me a motherfucking cheerleader. Oh my God, I was so tickled. I rode off of that for the rest of the shoot. So then we go on, continue shooting. Sam still doesn't talk to me at all. And because he just doesn't like cameras. So one day I am in my Howard jacket and I'm walking by him. Sam went to Morehouse, and I went to Howard. Howard and Morehouse are big rivals. So I'm walking by him. We're in an interior set. I'm walking by him and he grabs my jacket and kind of stops me. And I look around. First of all, I'm stunned that he even acknowledged my presence. But, in all fairness, leading after that, he was, nod his head at me or say good morning or something like that, but he just would not talk to me. But Sam don't talk to any cameras. So I couldn't take it personal. So he grabs my jacket and I was like, hey, what's going on? And I introduced him. It's nice to officially finally meet you, Mr. Jackson. I'm TJ and I'm your behind the scenes producer. And he goes, you went to Howard? And I was like, yes. Does a Morehouse man have a problem with a woman who went to Howard? And you can kind of tell that disarmed him. Because it was like, okay, what you're not going to do is keep intimidating me. And so there was a Black College Classic in Atlanta that weekend. And all of a sudden he switched to, you going to the Classic this weekend? And I was like, I think I am going to roll through. And he was like, you going to the Battle of the Bands? I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go to the Battle of the Bands. And then for like 15 minutes, he and I just sat there and talked about the state of Black colleges. And we fought some more about who was better between Morehouse and Howard. And that is kind of how I broke the ice finally with Sam. He wasn't my best subject because he refused to sit down and do an interview with me. He refused to do anything for me on camera. And I just kind of started just shooting around him because I had a job to do. Warner Brothers was counting on me to do this job. And so I just kind of had to work around Mr. Jackson. But yeah, that's my story of Sam Jackson and how I met him. But what was also funny is I'm going to show you guys this because I came across this. Let me see. I came across this while I was looking for that picture. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot this. So closer to the end of shooting. So I think this was around maybe about a week of shooting. And, oh, the other thing is I didn't go to the New York shoot because we did Atlanta and then went on to New York. I didn't go to New York. I had to just step away. And so my camera guy, though, went on to New York and he said, I think Sam kept looking for you. I think he finally was going to actually talk to you now that it was at the end because he asked me, where that other girl at? But you got to remember, Sam is like 70 something years old. So he's old enough to be my father, you know, or in some cases, my grandfather. So my camera guy told me, like, he asked, okay, where that other girl at? He was, you know, willing to talk to me, but I wasn't there. However, before we wrapped Atlanta, I was interviewing, let me see if I can get it. I was interviewing Mr. Nguyen, who I've already told you was that production designer that had done, you know, 30 something years with Spike and worked on School Days and all of that. So I was interviewing him in the office that was Shaft's office in the movie. And so I'm interviewing him and this happens. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's only 14 seconds. This happens. Sam walks over and gives me a hug voluntarily. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm like, he's walking toward, in my head, I'm trying to play it cool. I'm still trying to be professional. But in my head, I'm going, Sam is walking towards me. He's walking towards me. He's going to hug me. Do I hug him back? What am I supposed to do? Don't know. But okay, this is what feels natural. And so in my head, this may not be the truth, but in my head, me and Sam are BFFs. And like I said, you know that you're in the presence of greatness when you watch him work. It's a lot of times my crew and I both felt like we got to make sure we focus hard on what we're supposed to be doing because we're caught up in just watching just the magic of Sam. And, you know, Sam's films have grossed like 7-8 billion, that's billion with the B, have grossed that kind of money. And it's just like, he's down to earth. He's just who he is. He's not mean. He's not mean. Karma says, I can't see you being starstruck. And I won't call it starstruck, Karma. I'll call it just knowing I'm in the presence of greatness, and sometimes also in awe and disbelief, because for me, I'm still a little country girl from Jackson, Tennessee, who had a dream to work in Hollywood. And now I'm standing on the set working with people that I never dreamt that I would be in close proximity to. So, and then knowing, Sam's resume and just how dope he is, I think it was just a matter of like, pinch me. Like, is this really my life? Is this really happening? So it wasn't the starstruck of being starstruck as Sam. It was more of, this is still Sam Jackson, from Pulp Fiction, the crackhead from Jungle Fever. It was one of those things like, wow, this is kind of cool. This is coming full circle. So, yeah, that is my Sam Jackson story. And I had done night school with Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart, and working with Tiffany was full circle too. So to roll right out of night school with Tiffany, of having a full circle moment with her, because I used to go watch Tiffany, do 15-minute sets at the Laugh Factory as an amateur, and she would be grateful. And I knew, and I would watch her, and I had tracked her career because I knew she was hilarious. And so then to kind of follow her career from afar and then turn out to be working on a film where I'm directing and producing a project with her, it was kind of like that, just having a full circle moment of, not thinking this would ever be something that I do. So that's my Sam Jackson story, that I'll forever be grateful that I got called a motherfucking cheerleader by Sam L. Jackson, the multi-billion-dollar box office hit. So, all right, guys, that is it for Pimp Your PR Wednesday. This didn't really have anything to do with Pimp Your PR. I just thought it was kind of cool what I will say, though, is I did interview a couple of people who were really nervous on camera. But because what I do with Media Mavericks, I was able to get some really good stuff out of them, because I knew the tools and the tips that I need to give them to get them to settle down. And they will all hug me afterwards like, oh, I would have never gotten through that without you. So for me, it also was seeing a merging of what I do with you guys in Media Mavericks to then translate in a way that I never thought would ever happen to being on this, multi-million-dollar film, and serving the people I was interviewing with helping them get through their interviews. So that was great. So that was weird. Don't know what happened. But it went out just as I was going to say, In September, I believe we're going to be doing another round of the League of Extraordinary Storytellers. That's of the Extraordinary Boot Camp. I'm not calling it a retreat anymore because my first attendees were like, this ain't no retreat. We ain't no resting and relaxing. We working. So the League of Extraordinary Storytellers Boot Camp will more than likely be at some point in September. So spots for that are limited to like 6. It's going to be a 3-day intimate experience with me where by the time you leave, you will know what your signature story is and how to powerfully tell it from the stage. As a matter of fact, one of my ladies who was in the inaugural class who gave me the most stank eye of everybody actually just spoke in Canada, knocked it out the park, was invited to join, was placed in this organization of 300,000 women, their speaker bureau. And then in September, she's headed to Europe. So League of Extraordinary Storytellers Boot Camp, mark your calendar when I give you the date, I guess. All right, it is going to be intimate, 3 days with me. I'm only going to either be able to take 6 or 7. I'm not sure. 6 or 7 is what I can manage because it's just with me and any surprise guest I add. All right, so that's it, y'all. Thanks for coming. I'm back. You'll be hearing me make some more noise so I can help you make more noise. I love you guys. And in the meantime, go out and make God smile. And I am going to go make him laugh. Talk to you later. Bye.